Okay, well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the 2022 Signs and Lines Program Launch Informational Webinar. This webinar is being recorded and will be available on the Safe Routes to School website within the next week or so. Thank you so much for being here with us today and spending some time to learn more about Signs and Lines. This is our first official webinar of the school year. I know we haven't started yet, but it's kind of our kickoff, so we're very excited to be here. Yeah, let me just go into the next slide. So my name is Diane Hanson, and I'm the program director for the Massachusetts Safe Routes to School program, a program of MassDOT. I'm joined today by our program administrator, Rachel O'Donnell. Just a few housekeeping items. Please keep yourself muted until Q&A. Live transcript is available for this meeting, which can be turned on with your Zoom controls. Leon, our operations manager, is available to help you with any tech questions. So today's webinar, we're going to cover the following topics, the different types of grants we have, how to apply, project examples, and really focusing in on signs and lines, planning for success, upcoming events, and then we'll have time for a Q&A. I will ask Leon to upload a PDF of this presentation into the chat right now. The PDF does have live links to everything that I'm talking about, so it's a great resource. And then he'll be dropping some other things in the chat as we move through the presentation. So we do have two different types of grants available within the Safe Routes to School program. The first is our Signs and Lines grant, and that's what we're primarily going to be focusing on today. This is a $6,000 reimbursement to the municipality. We do provide an additional approximately $4,000 in benefits through our assessment and design services. And since program inception, we've done 16 projects now, which is very exciting. And that includes our Lawrence project, which was our pilot year in 2018. This year, we will plan on awarding up to 5 projects again. And the basis of the Science Alliance program is that we're looking to fund some low-cost infrastructure projects around public elementary, middle, and high schools. And I said high schools because, yes, the new IIJA, the new infrastructure Act does now allow Safe Routes to School to work with high schools. So we're really excited about that. The goal of this program is to eliminate small barriers that students have while they're walking, biking, using a wheel mobility device. And some examples of that could include installation of new signage, pavement markings like crosswalks, and we'll have more examples as we go on. But this is a project that's really meant to be happen in one school year, and it's very quick build, quick design, quick build. If this is too small for the project you have in mind, we also have our infrastructure grants. And these are from around $300,000 to $2 million in project size. We've completed 39 projects since program inception, and 33 are currently in progress. So this year we do plan to award approximately between 8 and 10 projects, similar to last year. And in a bit towards the end of the presentation, we will show you how to learn more about that. So moving on, let's talk about how to apply. And Leon is going to drop 2 documents into the chat that are important for you to have. One is the Signs and Lines program guidance document. So it really goes through every single detail that we're also going to be going through today. But on the cover, you have your deadlines, the timeline, all the things that really just can tell you about the project and how quickly we do this. And then there's also the application, which is an Excel document. So he'll be dropping both of those into the chat. Everything can be found on our Safe Routes to School website under engineering, and then you can just click on Signs and Lines. If you've downloaded the presentation, that link is active in your PDF. So program eligibility. Municipalities, this is really important, must sign a memorandum of understanding that shows that you will be working with MassDOT, with the Safe Routes to School program, and implementing the project within the school year. Partners or schools must have been a Safe Routes to School partner for at least 6 months as of today's date. So if you are unsure about how long you've been a partner, there's a couple different ways you can find out. One, you can go to our Safe Routes to School website. Under evaluation, we have our program dashboard. If you search for your school, your join date will be there. You can also reach out to your outreach coordinator and they can let you know. Schools must be actively engaged with Safe Routes to School. So even if you've been a partner since 2011, but you haven't done anything with us, it's going to be really hard to probably get a project with us. So we do look at active engagement, recent active engagement. Eligible projects include signage and pavement markings that improve accessibility along walking and biking routes. So I want to point out that this is not to make it easier for parents and guardians to drive. This is about making it easier and safer for our kiddos to get to school. So project must be within half a mile of a partner school, and the public school must serve children in grades K through 12. The project also must be within the public right of way or any bicycle or pedestrian path or trail. So we also look at support from the community. Projects should have support, and we'll talk a little bit about that when we go into the application. Eligible types of projects would be the installation of new MUTCD compliant signage, and there is a link in the guidance document to show you what that is. So we're talking school zone signs, bus zones, speed limits, installation of new pavement markings. So we're looking at high visibility crosswalks, bus only, school zone, again, painted on the ground, or any shark's teeth or yield lines, and then modifications to existing pavement marking. So this could be actually removal of old or of crosswalks that aren't in the right space or maybe aren't high visibility, and then also considering changing the direction of a street or a travel lane if it does make it safer for students to walk or bike. So all of those are eligible type projects. What's not eligible are permitting, utility relocation, recurring costs like paying for crossing guards or walking school bus leaders. School bus improvement projects are not included. And then also any signage that is not in compliance with MUTCD or does not line up with the program goals. So homemade signs, informational signage that are not MUTCD compliant, and that things that don't improve pedestrian and bicycle safety or mobility, and also portable enforcement equipment or gifts, not eligible. So the application is in Excel. It's really easy to go through. One thing I do want to point out is that the application must be submitted in Excel. Please don't PDF the document and send it to me. It does need to be in Excel. Really easy to fill out. The first part is application information. So this is, I'm not going to go through every single line on here, but it really is address, municipal information. Every application must have a school applicant and a municipal applicant. So somebody who is authorized to commit work on the on behalf of the municipality. Under section B is Safe Routes to School partnership information. So this is where maybe you're going to check into that dashboard that I talked about under the evaluation side on the website, where you need to find out how long have you been a Safe Routes to School partner? What's your partnership level? So we do partnership levels at the end of every year. And if you don't know, you can certainly contact your outreach coordinator. That's on the main page of our website. There's a map and it'll tell you who you need to work with. Our dashboard also does that as well. So we want you to describe your involvement with the Safe Routes to School program. So what are the types of activities? Are you participating in our 3 annual flagship days? Do you regularly host pedestrian or bike safety trainings? So what are the things that you're doing with our program that would help with your application? And again, please submit in Excel. Section C is project information. We're looking to see how many, what more information about the school. So which grades do the school serve, provide some enrollment data. Also knowing the number of walkers and bikers and folks that are maybe looking to walk and bike but can't right now, that's all great information for the application. And just a brief description of the project and the benefits of it to your students. 7 and 8, how many more walkers and bikers do you think you'll see? This is really based on if you know how many students are within half a mile or 2 mile or a walkable distance that aren't walking, how many more could we capture from this project? And then most importantly, please describe the municipal support we have. So including letters of support is really strongly encouraged. This will certainly strengthen your application. And we've highlighted and bolded it because last year we had some comments saying, oh, you didn't say it was required. We're not saying it's required, but we're saying it's strongly encouraged, and it will certainly strengthen your application. So please make note of that. And at the end of the application, we want a signature from both the school, a representative from the school or the school district, as well as from the municipality. And it's basically saying you understand that this is a quick build project, that this is a reimbursement-based project, and that things have to be completed within the current school year. And that you're also authorized to commit resources on behalf of the municipality. Applications are open today and they are due by September 23rd, 5 p.m. in my inbox, in my email. And so you can see my email right there. It's everything that I'm going through is in the guidance document as well. So all of these are live links. The application is evaluated by section B and C. You can see here partnership information is a quarter of the score, and then the rest comes from the project information and the benefits to the school and to the students. So all applicants will be notified of acceptance or denial of their applications. And the successful applicants will be given a list of next steps, which really happens almost within the week of knowing that you've been selected for a project. Applications not submitted can be resubmitted during the next application period. This is just a sample MOU. The Memorandum of Understanding is actually on our website. This is something that you can prepare when and if you've been selected. And it must be completed by the person who has the ability or has the authorization to commit resources on behalf of the municipality. So this is something that is signed by the municipality as well as by MassDOT. Funding, I alluded to this a little bit earlier. This is reimbursement based, which means that the municipality must do the work first and then submit for reimbursement. Municipal staff can be used, anyone on-call contractors. If you already have a relationship with somebody, that's totally fine. We're looking for you to do the work in the most efficient and beneficial way to get the most out of the $6,000 that will be reimbursed to you. And if selected, the municipality will receive a purchase order for this project. We do include a sample project budget in our guidance document, and this is just, based on maybe some pricing that we've seen come through on some of our Science and Lines projects. In the example shown here, we're not showing any labor because the municipality elected to use their own internal labor and not bill back for it, and just to pay for the pavement markings and the signage on this. Going on to the next one. So the timeline. This is a sample timeline based on the last couple of years of how long we've known things to take and when we can start work. So we are really looking to let folks know that they have been awarded the project by October, the middle of October. We intend to get the scoping meetings and the walk audits all completed before Thanksgiving, and then drawings, or actually first a needs assessment. That's a memo that sort of details all of what we found when we did our walk assessment. Those will come out after the first of the year. And then we will start to work on official plan sets. So drawings that the municipality will use to either bid out the work or to do the work internally. And project work typically will commence in March, April timeframe. It really depends on the weather, and it needs to be completed and inspected by June 30th of next year, of that 2023. Okay, so that is a lot of information in a short period of time, but what I do want to do is now pass this over to Rachel to give you some past project examples.
Awesome, thank you, Diane. The first project example we have is Chelsea. So this was during the 2020-2021 project year. The image that you see here is taken from a plan set document. So this document is created just in detail to lay out the expectations of where exactly the signs are going to go, where the pavement markings are going to go, and this would be delivered ahead of construction. You can see that with this project, there were 2 project locations, but the images you'll see on the next couple of slides were taken from the big polygon on the right. So that's the intersection of Broadway and Crescent Ave. So if you want to move ahead to some of the images. The image on the left was the before. So this was January of 2021. You can see that there was a lot of signage on those telephone poles. You don't really know where to look. It was a little overwhelming. There were no pavement markings, no crosswalks. And basically cars were parking way too close to the intersection. So it was a relatively unsafe intersection for pedestrians. So on the image on the right, you can see that there are nice reflective crosswalks in ladder style in all 4 directions. There's pedestrian signage at every corner. There's even, you can kind of see to the left, there's signs that light up, the pedestrian signs light up, which is great. And then there's also signage preventing folks from parking too close to those crosswalks. So it really improves the walkability for this intersection. This is the exact same intersection, just taken at a different angle. So again, you can see on the left, no pavement markings, unsafe to cross. And then the image on the right, you know, it's bright, everything you can see, and it just really improved the walkability and pedestrian friendliness for this area. The second example was taken during the 2019-2020 project year. So this was Fitchburg. And basically the overall goal was to improve school zone visibility because with this school, you could be driving down Franklin Road and not even realize that there was a school. So it was really trying to make folks more aware that there was a school nearby. So adding pavement markings that say school, adding better speed limit signs that mention schools. The stop signs were faded, so adding brighter stop signs. And also a lot of folks would try and turn into the exit of the school. So adding better signage saying that this is an exit, not an entrance. So the image on the left is the before. So this is the road, it's Rheingold Ave. This is the road that you would take to get to the entrance of the school. You can see that the pavement markings are pretty faded. The sidewalks are kind of in bad shape. And what you can't see is a very faded stop sign. And then on the right, you can see it was a nice, fresh new stop sign. So folks don't turn onto Franklin Road without stopping. And you might notice the image in the center, some new fresh paving that actually was done separate from signs and lines. That was the municipality that kind of took that. And also Chelsea, their municipality also kind of did some over improvements since they were already there at the site working on signs and lines. They figured why not just add a couple extra things on our dime. So that way everything can just be that much more enhanced. So if we want to move on to the next slide. This is the school exit. So again, there was no stop line. There was, faded do not enter signage. So they added a nice bright do not enter sign, a new one-way sign. The other thing is that you don't see the stop lines in these images because they actually put the pavement markings down a little bit later. They knew that they were going to do some road maintenance. So why would you put fresh signs or fresh lines on, pavement that's about to be torn up? So they just put painting those lines a little bit later. planning for success. Since this is such a short turnaround, you want to make sure that we can be as successful as possible. Our colleague Judy always says that this is not a stay in your lane program. So we want to make sure that everyone has a seat at the table. So you want to consider all of these stakeholders. You want to consider the school principal because they're the property manager of the school, the school district's facilities department, if it's applicable, if construction is being done on school grounds. You want to include the district's assistant superintendent for business or finance, or the school or the district transportation manager. If there's a PTO or staff member, that is your Safe Routes to School champion, whoever that may be, make sure that they're involved because they'll really help move things along. You want the municipality's Department of Engineering or the equivalent for the design and regulations, DPW or the equivalent for the actual construction of the project. You want the municipality's planning department to sort of help smooth any hiccups. The MassDOT district office staff, they're a great resource, as well as your local MPO. Both of those are tremendous resources to help answer questions. The initial scoping meeting will actually be virtual because everyone, it's just sort of laying out the expectations of what the schedule will look like. And then the actual walk audit will be in person. The same folks that attended the scoping meeting will attend the walk audit. And again, that will be done hopefully before the snow comes. And then the other thing to consider is that these infrastructure improvements will likely adjust current arrival dismissal procedures. So we want to make sure that there's an updated and approved and agreed upon arrival dismissal plan between the school and the municipality. So making sure that everyone's aware of what changes are going to be made and everyone's in agreement of how to proceed. The other thing is communication, making sure that you keep lines of communication open. The school and the municipality need to communicate all those changes to the community so that way there are no surprises. If there are altering, if there's some big changes like changing the direction of a street or removing parking spaces, and that requires council or board approval, make sure that the municipal staff brings that to the governing body in advance of the anticipated construction period. One thing that is really helpful to provide Safe Routes with is the GIS base layer data for the project area. If you have it, that's what we use to create those plan set documents. So having that base layer data is really helpful for those plan sets. Again, since this is such a big turnaround or short turnaround, one school year, Safe Routes will not develop a plan set with more than $6,000 in estimated requested improvements. And then there's only going to be one round of edits on the plan set after receiving comments from the municipality. So we're not going to be doing the large back and forth because we really just want to move the project along. And then the other thing to consider is when proposing the project in the application, keep in mind the long-term viability of the project at that location. So let's say, in a couple of years, you realize that you want to upgrade the signs or move the signs. Once the project is complete, we do require that the signs that you purchase through Signs and Lines that they stay in a school zone. And the other thing that we've run into that to keep in mind is that if your school is going to merge, if it's going to close, if it's going to relocate or change grades within the next 2 or 3 years, please just pass that information along to us so that way there's no surprises. And lastly, I just want to give a shout out to our upcoming events because I think they are right in line with what's going on with this webinar. Our Safe Streets Smart Trips High School Video Contest information session is on Tuesday, September 6th. Even though that we are now accepting high schools into the Safe Routes to School program, you do not have to be a Safe Routes to School partner. You just have to be a public or charter high school in Massachusetts. And so the theme this year is actually right in line with Signs and Lines. It's all about understanding pavement markings and roadway signage. So if you have creative students in your community that are in grades 9 through 12, or multimedia teachers that at high schools in Massachusetts, have them register for this information session because there are some really awesome prizes. There's $600 Amazon gift cards at stake for the grand prizes. So it's a really great contest that the winners get announced at the MassDOT Moving Together Conference in November. The next information session we have is also the infrastructure launch. So if your project is too big for signs and lines, maybe the infrastructure grant would be better suited for your project. So if you have questions about that, go ahead and register for that information session. That's Monday, October 3rd. And lastly, International Walk, Bike, and Roll to School Day, also known as iWalk, is Wednesday, October 12th. So make sure that your schools register for that event and see if we can get as many schools across the state to participate. And I will now turn it over to Diane.
Thank you.
Questions.
So Leon, I'm going to put something on you really quickly. If you could paste a link in the chat to look at previous winners from the video contest, that would be awesome. Because I want to say we've been doing this now. I think this is our ninth year of doing it, and we have some amazing videos. They're highly entertaining. I would really suggest that you go and look at the videos. They're all created by students, and the $600 goes to, if it's one student, it goes to that one student. So it's a great contest, and we definitely want to encourage all the high schools, public high schools in Massachusetts, to get their students to enroll. So thanks, Leon. Sorry to put you on the spot about that. So now what we're going to do, we remember last year that this presentation went kind of quick, and which is great because now we have a lot of time for questions. So I've been monitoring the chat, but I do not see any questions. But if you're brave enough, you can come off of mute or show your face and ask a question. We're here for as long as you have questions. So
Diane, this is Leon. There is one question
Yes.
that came through to me.
Yes.
The question,
great.
yeah, the question is, would a permanently mounted radar speed limit sign qualify?
I think, because it's not portable enforcement equipment, it would be a permanent enforcement equipment. Gosh, that's a great question. It depends on, well, I think it sounds costly, number one. I don't offhand know what the cost of that would be. I think that the goal is to obviously spread the wealth in the area near the school zone. My offhand, I would probably say no, but I can also get back to you. So Leon, if you could make a note of the person who asked that question, I will check with MassDOT and we will see if that is an allowable expense.
Okay, will do.
Thank you.
I was the one that asked the question. If I could expand just a tiny.
Yes. Hi, Tim. Okay.
How are you? Sorry about that.
That's okay.
We have it's an elementary school. I'm the principal of a pre-K through 6 elementary school, and we have a very long driveway that's a hill, and we have a lot of parents who will be moving pretty quickly by the time they get to the main crosswalk. And I was just thinking if something were mounted to give them a reminder halfway up that you're going way too fast, mixed with some potential signage for that crosswalk. We have a street, but we don't have any on our driveway.
You know, you bring up a really good example of one of the things that I see when we have these applications come in is that the school or the municipality thinks that they need to come up with the project on their own, right? They say, okay, there's a speed problem here. There's a visibility problem. So I want to put, two flashing signs or rapid flashing beacons here. We don't necessarily need you to come up with the solution. If you have the problem, we have our planners that are coming to do the assessment, take a look at it. There may be ways to narrow the roadway, to do visual changes to decrease speed. So there are other things that we can put there. So one of the things I didn't say is just because you asked for it in the grant doesn't mean that you're going to get it. It really depends on what our engineers find or our planners find when they go out into the field and they assess the situation. And then based on the $6,000, they'll say, this is the best way that we think that we can help you solve that problem. So hopefully that helps. Okay. I do see a couple questions in here. Do municipalities and/or departments need to be partners? Great question. No, they do not. Just the school that's within or the project that's within half a mile of that school needs to be a partner for at least 6 months. But we, of course, encourage all municipalities to be our alliance partners of Safe Routes to School. Daniel says, although high schools are now eligible, would they also need to be an SRTS partner? Yes, we knew we would get that question. So yes, they would have to be a partner for at least 6 months. I will say that there are some schools in the Commonwealth that high schools that do include 8th grade, and they have been partners of ours for more than 6 months. So it doesn't exclude all high schools. Unfortunately, it does exclude the ones that are new to us and only 9 through 12. So what else? What other good questions?
Hi, my name's Dave Coleman. I'm from Belmont. And I just want to just double check things. We've worked with Judy Crocker and also a bit with Rachel. And really my two questions, just to confirm that it's a half mile for the maximum distance.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. These really, we're looking, whereas on the infrastructure projects, which are the much larger ones, those we allow going out to 2 miles within a school. So signs and lines is really hyper focused within that half-mile radius of the school.
Okay. And when we're doing our application, because I noticed that after you send out approvals, you do additional work, but how good is our data? Should our data be to show you the catchment area and a rough estimate of the traffic that would go, say, across a crossing? I'll just tell you that in our town, we have most of our crossings marked, but it's busy enough that people are requesting these lighted signs. For instance, I think I saw one in the Chelsea example. It's a solar power battery.
Yep, the pedestrian crossing. Yep.
Right. It's
Flashers.
got an actuator button up. And when I had done some research on these, they really come out to be around $6,000 per crossing. And that's for one level of equipment. That's the cheap one.
Right.
So for instance, if we're interested in that, like how good do you want our data to be in terms of both current usage, current demand, and then anticipated benefit?
So I think if you can get us information about where students are traveling from, if they're coming through that intersection, that they're walking, they're within half a mile or a walkable distance. That's really helpful for us to see how many students we're benefiting, like what neighborhoods they're coming through. We would not award a project based on paying for one item, right? So we're looking to spread the wealth. So if you were looking for the solar powered flashers and that's the only thing you wanted on there, I would say it probably wouldn't be considered, because we're looking at maximizing that amount to look at signage and pavement markings. And again, our engineers and planners are going to come out there, take a look at the intersection and say, what can we do out here to help improve the intersection or the path to school? So
I appreciate the holistic approach. And I get it that what we might request something and then you might recommend something else. I guess the only other question is because of the cost of these and the limit on the funding on the grant, can the municipality make up the difference? If
absolutely.
it turns out that you recommend that it's good to have, one of these actuated crossing signs, and then there's $2,000 or $3,000 more work, and it works out to be say $10,000, $9,000 to $11,000. We can pick up the balance. Is that true?
Yes, it's a resounding yes. I would say for the majority of the projects that we've designed, the municipality has come in and done additional work, added additional funds to make up the difference. So maybe they've done a $10,000 improvement and they submit for $6,000. And I think that that's why these grants have been so successful is, that $6,000 is sort of a jumping off point for the municipality to say, oh, well, while we're out here, let's see, maybe we will. And so, yes, it's always encouraged.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks. Robert, I saw you have your hand up.
Yes, thank you. So I'm from the town of Fairhaven, and we are the recipients of a Safe Routes to School grant that is in the planning stages right now for an intersection of an existing bike path. So we're really fortunate to, in that regard. But our local bike path committee has been talking about, on the existing bike path, there are many people, even though the path has been in existence for many years, there are people that still don't understand, the proper etiquette and, rules of the road, keep to
Mhm.
the left, signal when you're passing. There are speed concerns with e-bikes now. And so that the committee was kind of, don't walk 4 or 5 abreast. Sometimes, and people will have, earbuds in and they don't hear when you're trying to tell them you're passing and things like that. So from an educational standpoint, to trying to get people to act more safely while they're on the bike path, we've been contemplating signage for that purpose to try and,
Mhm.
get people to just understand these basic, elements. So
Mhm.
is that the type of thing that would be eligible?
If I'm recalling in our guidance document, we do talk about it being, connecting to trails or um, paths that students may travel. So if you can show that this is a well-traveled or could be well-traveled place that students are using or a path that students are using to get to school, I think that there's some viability to that. You just have to show that you're going to be increasing the amount of students that are walking and biking to school because of the improvements that you're making. And
I
that, of
see.
course, it's tied to safety. So
Okay.
yes, if you can show you're increasing it, and you show you're improving the safety, I think that it could be a valid application.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
That's very helpful.
Mhm. Sure. I think I see another thing in the chat. Oh no, let's see. Thanks. Oh, that was Daniel's. Okay. Anyone else? Great questions. And of course, you can certainly email me after this if something else comes up during the entire application period. And, happy to answer any questions. Okay. Well, thank you all for joining. And I look forward to, given the number of people on this webinar, I look forward to a high number of applications, of quality applications coming in. So good luck to everyone. And we look forward to reading through your applications and selecting our projects this year.